Welcome everybody to another eye-opening episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. So I did a story not too long ago about a female correctional officer getting killed by an inmate. And when I did the video, someone messaged me on Instagram saying, bro, you gotta have me on the channel. I was right there when it all happened. And I got him on. He told his story, I'm not gonna lie. The way that he broke down watching that CO die, it gave me goosebumps. I'll leave that video linked in the comments section below. But yesterday, I got another message saying, hey, bro, you need to look into this because I was in there when it happened, which is another CO dying in Florida. And yes, this is kind of an old story. I think it came from 2014, but still, I want to bring it to y'all's attention before I have this guest come on and speak about it. So let's get right into it. If you enjoy this type of content, all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. This right here is the Columbia Correctional Institute, a state prison for men located in Lake City, Columbia County, Florida. The facility first opened in 1992 with a capacity of 1,400 inmates. It has a mix of security levels just like many other prisons, including community, minimum, medium, and closed security. And this right here is Sergeant Reuben Thomas. He was working in this prison when he was trying to fulfill his dream of becoming a game warden. He loved outdoors, but most importantly, he adored his family, daughter Emma and his pregnant fiancée. He was just so excited about the baby and watching his little girl grow. Paula Thomas said of her son,
just, so excited about the baby and, watching his little girl grow.
Now let me give you a quick breakdown on the individual that took the correctional officer's life. And this right here is Richard Franklin. He's been doing time in prison since 1995, serving a life sentence for murder. Franklin was convicted of murdering a 25-year-old university student, Gregory Roper, in 1994. He also received life for robbing an elderly man and 30 years for shooting the victim. Now, according to investigation, Sergeant Reuben went into Franklin's cell after the inmate called him on the intercom. And a lot of people might be wondering, what is an intercom? How can an inmate press that and call him to come down to the cell? Well, some of these more modern prisons have cells that have these little intercoms in them with a button as well you can press, and it alerts the CO that's in the booth to an emergency or something. It's called an emergency button. Or, if the COs want to use it, they could hit up that intercom and say, hey, bro, come on down. You got to go to medical. But from what I've already read, Mr. Franklin pressed that emergency button as a setup. So it can really go either way. A lot of inmates could press it because someone's dying, or they could press it to set you up to die. I bet COs that are watching this are probably going to respond to those emergency button calls a bit different after hearing this story. Reuben Thomas went to Franklin's cell after the inmate called him on the intercom. When Thomas arrived to the cell, Franklin put him in a headlock, and the officer's radio and personal body alarm fell down to the floor. The sergeant got away, and Franklin chased him across the catwalk and down the stairs to a door. I mean, just picture that scene. And the guy that wants to tell his story, I can only imagine the details he's going to bring. But I've done plenty of time, man, and I've walked across many catwalks. And just picturing an inmate chasing down a CO with a weapon or something, that's something that I've never seen before. It sounds absolutely wild, right? Now, once the sergeant got off the catwalk, went down the stairs, he got in front of another door, which was being opened for him by, I'm guessing, probably the correctional officers watching everything on video from the booth, maybe master control. The chase continued though. Another door that another officer working opened. The sergeant tried to close it, but the inmate grabbed the handle. The two began a tug of war over the door, and each time inmate Franklin pulled open the door, he stabbed Sergeant Thomas. According to the report, Franklin used a shank, a homemade knife, that a fellow inmate made from a piece of metal pipe.
When help arrived, Franklin attacked another officer, hitting his eye with a metal lock and stealing his mace. Then Franklin broke the fire suppression system, causing one of the quads to flood. The assistant warden arrived, deploying the designated armed response team, and after Franklin refused several commands to drop his weapons, a sergeant shot the inmate with a less lethal rubber ball round. Franklin fell to the floor, and the team restrained him.
The sergeant's jugular vein was cut, and he suffered other injuries, including a punctured lung. Now, his mother, Paula Thomas, says something that I say all the time.
I don't think a lot of people understand that there are murderers walking around in an open cell population, and I think that they should be classified differently amongst themselves than with someone who maybe has wrote a bad check and is, in prison.
Right? And I completely agree with Miss Paula. Even though I'm an ex-con and I don't really like correctional officers, it don't matter, man. A life is a life. And I'm starting to wonder, why don't they change this? It's been long enough, man. Many people have died. They need to fix it some way, right? Because these guys shouldn't be around nobody else but other killers. Lockdown status. If you're a murderer, that's where you need to go. And when I say murder, I'm not talking about manslaughter or something like that, a DUI, crash, accidental. I'm talking about these gruesome ass killers, man. They shouldn't be around individuals with what she said, writing bad checks, right? That's ridiculous. I mean, they kind of do it already. If you got violent crimes like I did when I went to prison, you go to a certain type of prison. Gladiator camps, where all the other violent offenders are at. If you got caught smoking a little bit of rock, man, you ain't going there. You're going to like some kind of program prison. So they kind of have these separations in place, but they need to go in a little more detail when it comes down to people that killed someone. Also, the amount of time someone has, man, that plays a huge role in what they're going to do when they're bid. But this didn't happen to an inmate this time. It happened to a correctional officer. So that means there's something wrong with the system that they got going on. And let's take, for instance, Supermax prison. It doesn't matter. When they step out their cell, they're shackled from wrist to ankle, and they got complete controlled movements of these people. Sometimes they're being moved with 2 or 3 different correctional staff. There's absolutely no way that they're going to kill anything. Almost every story I brought your way about inmate on inmate homicide, the dude that killed him already had life, man. Nothing to lose. Plain and simple, right? I mean, what's it going to take? How many people are going to have to die by the hands of these lifers before you separate these individuals? Let me know what you think in the comments section below, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is the crazier part. It happened in Florida, and y'all know Florida got the death penalty. He was convicted of murder, and they sentenced him to death. Well, about 4 years down the road, he got his sentencing overturned, and now he has another life sentence added to the other 2. 3 lives now. You think he cares, man? I wouldn't doubt it. This guy kills someone else again later on down the road. I mean, think about it. This guy killed someone over a shakedown.
Thomas's family says Franklin targeted her son after a recent shakedown in his cell in which Thomas confiscated 5 knives that his cellmate made. Franklin hid 1 shank under the cell door, which is the one that investigators say he used to kill Sergeant Thomas. His family says Franklin made the knives by breaking a metal pipe and then sharpening it on the concrete.
A simple, dusty shakedown. And yeah, he might have boosted his level getting caught with those type of weapons. It probably was going to be shipping him to a more maximum security prison. But this is the thing. To a lifer that's probably already going through emotional imbalances, all it could take is a CO that they don't like or getting written up for something that they didn't do to bring them to that snapping point. And say, you know what, man, I'm already here for life. This guy, he's going to die too. No, I'm just saying. That's how a lot of lifers' minds think, if I were to guess. But that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. There ain't too much more on this story other than what we're going to hear from the person that was in the cell block when it took place. My kids just got home from school, so I gotta go. It sounds like a stampede up there. But stay tuned for that interview, not to mention the Goon Squad reaction video. Don't think I forgot about that one. In the meantime, though, as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.